right, guys, we're going to carry on from the last tip of the day that I did. And I was talking about when you hit something, you want to hit something and bring your hand back again. Don't leave your hand out there. But how to correctly bring it back. Sorry if there's a bit of noise today. There's building work going across the road. The cement truck's just throwing some cement out. But we're doing martial stuff, so it shouldn't matter that I'm raising my voice and we're being a bit noisy about it. Okay, so protection. You want to make sure you maintain your guard, your protection, whenever you're not doing something, okay? So when you're doing something, you have to open your guard. Let's say whatever guard you use, doesn't matter what it is, the guard that you're used to and that you find works for you, when you move away from that guard, let's just say I've got this kind of a guard, right? When I extend my arm, I'm opening up my guard. It's just a fact. You are opening yourself up. I'm more likely to get hit when my hand is here than when my hand is here, because I'm closer. You want your hands closer to the bits that you want to protect. Now again, that doesn't mean that only close guards work. There is such a thing as a reaching forward guard. So again, that's why I'm saying whatever guard works for you. There's different types of guards: close guards, forward guards, one up, one down guards, both arms down. Whatever your guard is, the one that works for you, the principle still remains. When you come away from your guard, you only want to be outside of your guard or your multiple guards. You might use a combination of guards, as again, you don't have to just use one guard, of course. But whenever you come outside of that guard, meaning you're extending your arm and striking someone, you want to be in that striking position for the shortest amount of time possible, because that's when you're vulnerable. If I throw my punch out, right, let's say you're standing in front of me. If I throw my jab out like that, whomp, and you evade that to that side and throw something through here, you're going to be throwing that punch right there. So right, you're standing there and you've just gone whoop, bang, for example. So if there's even a moment that my hand stays there, chances are your punch here, your left punch now, is going to come straight through. This hand is too far extended. It's not going to get back there in time to block you. I'm not going to be able to block it like that, realistically. You know, I mean, maybe you could, but you're going to be far better off if this hand goes boom and comes back to here. Now if he attacks, I'm right there. I'm ready for whatever's going to happen. I'm back to that neutral position. So your hands leave your center, leave your guard for the least amount of time possible. So that's basics, okay? So as I say, whatever your guard is, whatever it is, come back to it. Come back to it. Come back to it. Come back to it. Okay? Whatever your guard is, come back to it. Don't leave your hand out there. Now, it's not often that people leave their hand out. The only time really you see that is in a lot of traditional styles where they're so used to doing forms and katas where they're maybe not doing them really correctly, and they're posing at the end of every punch. You know, like, it's teaching them to leave the hand there. Now that may be there for certain reasons, to strengthen shoulders, and you know, you're doing it in a big long stance to stretch, and it's maybe there for other reasons. But when you're doing your fighting stuff, working with a partner or a bag, you should never be leaving your hand out there. But the main thing I want to talk to you today is how to bring your hand back. A lot of people, they'll throw their punch out and they might bring their hand straight back to guard. You see? So I'm bringing it straight back to guard, aren't I? But look at the path that I'm taking. See that? I'm allowing my hand to punch and drop and then come back up. I'm taking a very long route to get back to where it was. From here, that's a short, look how quick that is. Boom, versus, it's going to take 3 times longer. In that amount of time, using that same example, if I've thrown my punch there and I roll my hand back to my guard, in the time that you're going to go whomp, smack, you're going to hit me before my hand gets back to here. But if I can go punch and bring it straight back again, my hand's going to be ready because I'm using the shortest path possible to get my hand back to my guard to protect myself. Okay, so that's something just to be really, really aware of, is don't let your punches roll. I find it's more likely to happen when you're doing free form, as in with no bag, shadow boxing. Whether you're just, punching, or you're doing some kind of a form, kata, whatever, but you're not hitting, you're not connecting with something. Because there's no connection. So it's more likely that it rolls through. Whereas when you make contact, that obviously takes away a lot of the momentum of your punch, so it's less likely to roll down, but it can still happen. You can still, you see, as soon as I go bang, just as it comes off the bag, my shoulder relaxes, and it rolls back. So you've got to make sure, from wherever, boom, bring it back, boom, bring it back, boom, bring it back. Especially when you do a double punch, for example. You might go bang, bang. Oh yeah, I'm bringing my hands back. And then you'll go like this. I'll do it this way so you can see. You might go like just a simple jab cross kind of a thing. And you might go smack. But as the next one's coming through, you might not realize, because you're focusing on this hand now, you may not realize your left hand is now rolling down with the next move. Now I've found, this is a very common thing in all martial arts. Boxers, they get on top of that straight away. That's a very, very common fault that people like, stop rolling your hands, stop rolling your hands. It's like one of those basic things that all beginners do. They'll roll their hands. So in boxing schools, they talk about that a lot. It's not something I've ever talked about that much in our style. And I've never seen a lot of people in the more traditional styles mention that. But it's the same thing. It still applies the same to us as it should to a boxer. What I've found is, on the one hand, with Taiji and Bagua, we are trying to be loose and relaxed, aren't we? Now, that's not to say that boxing isn't. A good boxer is very relaxed. Look at Muhammad Ali. He was the most relaxed, lanky, loosey kind. He was very, very relaxed. So it's not to say that boxing isn't relaxed. Some boxers are not relaxed, but that doesn't mean that boxing is not relaxed. I've seen some Taiji people who are not relaxed. That doesn't mean Taiji is not relaxed. Anyway, because you place so much emphasis on relaxing in Taiji and Bagua, that's a good thing. We want to be soft in our movements and not create excessive tension. But with anything you try to do, there's a possible negative mistake you can make by doing that, like a side effect. So it's like, okay, be loose. Let's say if I be really tight, my punches come straight back. Okay, that's great. So my punches are coming straight back. But the negative of that, the side effect, is that I'm very robotic and stiff. If I go the other way and I go, right, okay, really loose, really loose. Yeah, really loose. Okay, that's great. I'm really loose, but my hands are dropping. So that's a negative. That's a side effect. So both have a pro and a con. So we want to find that happy medium. We want to be able to stay loose, but not drop our hands. So it's simply just a matter of being aware of it, really. That's all it is. If you just be aware of it, you see, I can still stay totally loose, but not be worrying about that hand dropping. As soon as you make that conscious acknowledgement that you do that, and I know I do it myself. I do it. I've more recently been sort of getting on top of that and making sure I'm not doing it. But if I watch a lot of my older videos, I've noticed myself rolling punches. Because of that, trying to be really loose. There's another aspect from the Taiji and Bagua, and particularly Shingi, where we talk about, instead of just using rotational power in any given strike, okay, we use this vertical wave power like this, you see? And this is something I have always said, rotational power, I can do rotational power from here, okay? 1. Okay? Right? Rotational power, short, close, kind of thing. Or I can go like this. I'm not breaking any rules by doing that. I'm not making the strike any worse. I mean, okay, it's not that likely to land because you're so far away from the target. He'll probably see it coming. But what I mean is the principle, I'm still using all the same shapes and alignments. I'm not breaking any rules of movement by exaggerating that rotational power. However, this vertical waving power, okay, so that is where, for example, we stand here, and usually we'll use it with the palm, or we can use it with the fist as well. But you'll notice I'm not going to open the waist like that. So I'm not driving through from the hip. I'm going to come from here and go, you see? The hip's still open a small amount, because there's always a little bit of rotational along with the vertical. But you can see most of the power there is coming from that action, okay? That's what we're looking at. You can use it with the palm. See? See, it's that. That's where the power's coming from. We use it a lot when we use double-handed strikes as well. This kind of thing. You see? Because if I use my waist, obviously one hand goes forward, the other hand goes forward. So if I want to hit him with two hands, which you should only ever do in a very specific scenario, not as a general technique, but if I want to hit him with two hands, with power, instead of just using my shoulders to power it, I can wave it through the body again. You see? It's a wave. But that wave, if I exaggerate that wave in any degree, right, just using it as a free-form thing here without the bag, if I think, whoa, bang, see where the circle is? A vertical movement will create a little bit of this circle. But this is why it's an advanced technique, because it should only be done so subtly. You see? It's so small, it's not really going to cause any negative, you see? So if that circle back is just, a half an inch down, well, that's not really going to make any difference, right? Okay, technically speaking, you could say even if it's a tiny bit, it will take a nanosecond longer to get back. But you've again, pros and cons, you've generated more force, so you've hit him harder. So that's a good thing, okay? Welcome back, Clara. Yeah, so I think you get what I mean there. If you're doing those vertical type actions, we don't want too much of this. We certainly don't want too much from the body, right? That's what I'm always going on about, is you can only do it to that extent. But when you do it, essentially what you want to think of, let's take a real classic example from the Bagua form. We come to here like so. Thanks, Clara. And we do a slap step with a poke. And that is a very obvious vertical line movement. You watch the hand, watch the fingers on the end of that move. You see? Now, technically speaking, there was a circle this way. But looking at it, the circle is so subtle. You see, it's only going within that spectrum, so it doesn't matter. It's so small, it doesn't matter. Yeah, so that's my point of this video, is be careful that you're not exaggerating circles or exaggerating relaxation to the point where you're actually causing your guard to be left open for extended periods when it shouldn't be. So base bottom line rule, extend your arm and more or less pull it straight back to where it was. It can do a little, okay, this is straight out and straight back. This is straight out and curved back. Okay, what was the difference? It's not going to, speed-wise, it would be unattainable, the difference between those two things. If I go, or, the The second one had a circle on it, you see? So those circles have got to be very, very small. So there's another example. Even if I was throwing a punch there, I might tell a beginner that, no, not a beginner, but someone along the line, I might say, okay, so there's a little curve on the end of that move. Same principle. I would argue it's not as bad if you punch circles this way back to target rather than this way, but it's still bad. It's still not good. So we still don't want, see that? I've done a straight punch, but then I've curved it back way too big. Now, different if I'm throwing a round punch, that's totally different because a round punch has a follow through to it. That's a different concept. I'm talking about straight lunging type strikes. Okay, I think that's all I really wanted to say about that one. When you're doing your forms, when you're doing your bag work, your mitt work, whatever. If you notice a hand dropping, film yourself or get your partner to help you out as well. If you're holding pads for someone, you notice their hands dropping, whenever they drop their hands, smack them on the head. Or you can do exercises like this. If you've got someone who's really struggling and they just keep dropping their hands, you can actually hold one pad. So hold this one, say punch this, do like a boom, 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 3 punches or whatever, and just put this one under it. Now, if they touch this pad, they punch that one. If they touch that, they know they're dropping their hands. They've got to be able to punch that pad and draw it straight back without touching the bottom pad. So that can really help. I did this at a camp recently. So it really forced people to go, okay, boom, boom, not but, damn, they kept touching that pad on the way down. I think that's all I wanted to say. Good stuff, guys. Hope you enjoyed that. Let that flow into your training stuff. Good stuff.